Welcome to the Fashion Institute of Technology Jewelry Design program. My name is Tom Irizarry. I'm a full-time technologist here in the program. I'm part of a team of 3 other technologists, Sonia Cabrera, Anne-Marie Sclafani, and Tiffany Bryan. Jewelry design studios are located on the 4th floor of the A building in room A480, which is called the Jewelry Design Studio, and also A481, the Silversmithing Studio. Both studios are equipped with numerous machines, torches, and jewelers' benches. I'm here today to present with you the department's safety rules and regulations document, which you should have received. You'll need to review this document in great detail, as you will be responsible for upholding all of these rules. I can only cover a certain amount of them in this presentation, and I ask that you please review your document as closely as possible. You will have to sign the last page of the document and date it and turn it into a technologist. So let us begin. The Jewelry Design Studios are a communal space. To ensure a safe working environment for all who use it, the students are required to exercise common sense, good hygiene, and respect for tools and equipment, and to observe the rules of the department. The faculty and staff of the Jewelry Design Department reserve the right to enforce protocol or to ask students to vacate the studios at any time. There are no drugs, alcohol, or smoking in the studio. There's no eating or drinking in the studios. There is no exceptions to this rule. Anyone who's implicated in acts of stealing or violence will be reported to the Dean of Students, without exception. Only students with a valid FIT ID who are currently enrolled in Jewelry Design Studio classes that meet in room A480 or 481 may be in the studio. There is no socializing. There are no friend visits. Please do this outside of the studio. You may only use the tools and chemicals that you've been instructed to use in the specific manner that you've been trained to use them by your teacher or staff. Studio work, machine use, and tool borrowing is limited to the classroom as assigned by your teacher. Please always wear safety goggles when you are in the studio. They must be worn at all times or you may be asked to leave the studio. There are some that are for public use that are in the front of each of the studios, but I strongly recommend that you buy your own comfortable set of goggles and have them on hand with a spare in your locker. Please practice good studio hygiene. Do not leave your bench or your work area cluttered or a mess or dirty. Please be considerate of other students who will come to use the very same space. Please be sure to clean up after yourself each time you finish working at the bench. There are HEPA vacuums that are located in each of the studios, and you may also use wet methods to clean the debris from your benches. When working in the studio, long hair must always be pulled back. Loose clothing must be tucked in or removed. While working, your bench drawer should always be pulled over your lap. This is to protect yourself from any hot metal, as well as to catch filings. Please wear clothing that is from natural fibers, such as cotton or wool, and keep spares in your locker and on hand. Also, please keep a pair of closed-toe shoes in your locker in case you come to the studio ill-equipped. That is, wearing open-toe shoes, you will be asked to leave the studio. You must also wear an apron or a lab coat. Please remove jewelry. If it gets caught in the equipment, it is a hazard. The use of compressed air for cleaning and removing dust from clothing or work is prohibited as it produces airborne dust. Common sense rules. Listen to your teachers and the technologists. They're there for your well-being. If you don't know how to use a piece of equipment, as indicated in your class's syllabus, ask your instructor or a technologist for help. Students are allowed only to use the tools and machinery as related to their classes and as directed by their instructor. Please keep in mind that certain tools and equipment and the labs and where they are located are restricted to use as designated by this policy. If you use headphones, please be aware of announcements and emergency evacuations. Stay focused on your work. Always use a buddy system, which means never work alone. Face the door while you're working, so you're aware of who comes in and who goes out. Do not work to the point of exhaustion. Plan out your workload. In this way, you can be responsible and safe. Only FIT staff, faculty, and students registered in the classes may meet in the studios. Do not sneak up on people when they're working. Respect their personal space and give them room to work. Try not to walk behind or bump into anyone who may be working. Do not leave your bags or coats or toolboxes in the center of the room or between the benches. Do not bring pets into the studio. There is to be no unauthorized storage of equipment or materials in the studio without prior authorization. Reduce the waste by bringing a shop rag for drying your work. Paper towels should only be used for drying your hands. Please recycle all scrap metal and filings in the appropriate bins in the front of each studio. There is a protocol for spills that is specific to our studios and is located in your safety contract. Please be familiar with it and all the emergency phone numbers located on page 4. On page 5 is our policy and procedures for fire and torch use. All of our faculty and staff have certificate of fitness documents that are called the G61, which is the torch use of flammable gases for the jewelry trade, and must be presented at all times in the studio when torches or open flames are in use. Be aware of the locations of extinguishers, fire extinguishers, and emergency showers, which are located in the front of each studio and also in the rear. Eye wash stations located at each sink, and emergency exits. Respect torches and their use. Listen to your professors. They should be turned off when leaving the bench. A bench is left unattended and a torch is left on. It will be turned off by a technologist or faculty member. Protect the surface of your bench. Always solder on a ceramic tile or a fire brick. These should all be in place when you approach the bench. Check to make sure that a fume extractor is in position and properly functioning. During a fire drill, stay with your class and meet in a previously agreed upon location. This location is near the corner of 27th Street and 8th Avenue across from the A building. Do not stand in the street. This is important so that in case of a real fire, firefighters can ask faculty if all their students are accounted for and not risk their lives looking for a student that might not be in the building. Do not use a disposable lighter as a means to light your torch. It's extremely dangerous. Use strikers and sparkers with flints only. All chemicals are to be used safely and according to their own protocols. They are stored in marked cabinets appropriately in each of the studios. They are not to be stored in your locker or in any other place. All chemicals should be marked with the product name and date. Be familiar with the safety data sheets, which are located in the front of each studio in large red binders. Please look through these binders if you're familiar with the chemicals which you'll be using. Electroplating and electroforming is not allowed in the studios by students and can only be approved by the department chair and performed by technologists. When working with chemicals, please use face shields as a secondary face protection, along with eye protection, chemical aprons, and acid-resistant gloves. Avoid bodily contact and exposure to fumes when using hazardous materials. Wear the appropriate protective equipment, rubber gloves, apron, face shield, and also please work only under a fume hood or an exhaust hood. They are ventilated and they are there to protect you and the others in the studio. Power tools are available for grinding, sanding, cutting. They all create particulate and dust. Please use the dust collectors that are located next to the power machines and make sure that they are powered on when you are using the machines. Please only use the machines in the way that you've been taught to use them. Do not use a machine if you do not know how to use it. Ask for assistance from your faculty member. or a technologist. Report any broken machines to your instructor or a technologist immediately. Do not use equipment that is broken or marked "Do not use" and do not remove these tags. Never leave power equipment running unattended. Familiarize yourself with the panic buttons that are located for studio power in the front and back of each studio. These will cut off power in an emergency situation. Be aware of the danger of electrocution. There are multiple power outlets located in the center between the benches. Water and electricity are a fatal combination. If something goes wrong while you're using a piece of equipment, immediately turn it off and request assistance. Observe safety protocols as posted on or near the equipment. Never try to remove or disregard safety guards that are on power of equipment, and many power machines will not operate without the safety guards in place. Always wear a full face shield with ANSI approved safety goggles, stamped Z87.1+, rated for high impact when using any large motorized equipment. Please note that all sub-lab machinery require the use of face shields. Additional safety gear would have to do with protection for UV during all melting, welding, and cutting operations. Number 3 through 4 rated lenses for torch brazing known to goldsmiths as soldering, and number 5 to 7 for melting operations or while working with platinum. Please have ear protection on hand. There are located safety plugs and earmuffs at the front of each studio. These are required for raising and forging. Contact FIT security in the case of suspected eye contact with chemical dusts or products or fumes. Students and faculty can only use the chemicals that are both approved by full-time faculty, technologist, and the Director of Health and Safety. Chemical products may only be used as indicated and on the product label in SDS. Report any healthy and safety concerns about exposure to chemicals to faculty, staff, or faculty. Describe the symptoms and the name of the chemical product that you suspect might be the cause. Jewelry design studios are equipped, as I said, with extensive fume, vapor, and particulate removal systems. Please be sure to utilize them. Please be sure to use and dispose of spent chemicals and hazardous materials in properly labeled waste containers. These are generally red or yellow containers that are marked according to the materials that you are using as acid or corrosive. The Respiratory Protection Program at the Fashion Institute of Technology assures your safety by using the fume hoods that are available in each of the studios. There is one large fume hood located in the front of each studio. Under these hoods are pickle pots, a cleaning system used while soldering and cleaning metal. I'm sorry, not while soldering, but in preparation and in the process of soldering. Please do not put your heads underneath the fume hoods when retrieving your work out of the pots. There are protective glass shields in the front of each fume hood, and your head is to remain outside of it. Respirators are not required on campus. However, should you feel the need to use one or have a special condition, you are allowed to purchase one and bring it on campus. Please fill out a form that is located on page 12 that indicates that you have agreed to the responsible maintenance and use of a respirator that you are bringing on campus. Hold this document. You may be asked for it whenever your respirator is in use. Please have it handy. Finally, please sign and date page 11 of your document or the final page and turn in your signed agreement to a department faculty member or technologist. Thank you for observing and agreeing to the terms and the rules and regulations of the program. And we wish for you a very successful, safe, and healthy semester here in the jewelry design program.